Get your notebook ready. We're about to, together, engage in a basic refresher course in macroeconomics. Right now, inflation is high. We all know that. To get it under control, the Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates, perhaps by an entire percentage point for the first time since the early 1980s. Generally speaking, higher interest rates makes it more expensive for companies to do business, which leads many of those companies to lay off workers. Warner Brothers has already cut 100 jobs this week, and Goldman Sachs is expected to make cuts as well. Economists say the moves may signal a new recession, and yet there are still jobs open all across the country. It is what's called a tight labor market. Guy Berger joins me now. He's the principal economist for LinkedIn, and he's either going to correct me immediately or he's going to help us understand this. Guy, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell has said there will be pain. His mandate is to lower inflation, and job losses are going to be the results of that, he suggests. But on the other hand, as we mentioned, the labor market is very tight. That means that there are a lot of people who want workers but can't find them. Can you help me out with that conflict?
Yeah, sure. Let's start with where we're at. I know there's stories about layoffs in the news. I think it's important to remember, these are still pretty small in scale. They're isolated to mostly in a few industries or sub-industries. I think obviously losing a job is a tragedy for everybody that experiences, but this is definitely not on the scale of the mass layoffs or even close to it that we see in a recession. Instead, what's happened is we've transitioned from, the extremely hot labor market we had at the beginning of this year to a labor market that's merely very hot. We've seen hiring coming down a little bit in our data, but it actually rebounded a little bit in August. I think if you're in the labor market right now, you still have the kinds of opportunities that, frankly, are better than average compared to the last 15, 20 years.
So, but then does that mean that things are not going in the Fed's direction? Because, or is it not inevitable that there will be layoffs that will come as a result of the Fed engineering this so-called soft landing, which is to say inflation goes down, but it doesn't lead to a recession?
Well, I think that the way I sort of recapped it is this is where we're at. And I think we're all hoping that we're lucky. The Fed manages to slow down the economy just enough that it reduces the amount of pressure on inflation and brings inflation back down to where the Fed wants it without really triggering that many layoffs, maybe only causing unemployment rate to go up a little bit while getting inflation back. I think there's a lot of uncertainty about what happens early next year. This is a great job market right now. I think we all hope that it's going to be this good in a year, or in 6 months. But I think, the Fed is sort of in uncharted waters here trying to engineer this so-called soft landing.
And so if the Fed is in uncharted waters, what then does the labor market look like from the other side, from workers? I mean, you said it is still a good place to be out there because there are a lot of people offering jobs. Is there another way that you look at this labor market that's different than the way we classically might have understood it, given that we are coming out of a pandemic and there's a lot of this economy that seems not to be fitting with some of the traditional models?
Well, I think that again, I think there's a lot. Hiring's elevated, quitting's elevated relative to what's in the past. We call it a great reshuffle of people switching jobs more than typical. I think there's some possibility that without causing a lot more layoffs, without causing unemployment to go down, we can take some of this the Fed can sort of turn down the dial on the heat of the labor market and cool it off without essentially causing too much distress. But I think there's a lot of uncertainty. I think there are economists out there that are skeptical the Fed can do this. And they think, we really are going to, the Fed's not going to be able to get inflation where it wants without raising unemployment a lot. I think, as I said, there's uncertainty. I think this is a benign environment right now, and it might not be so benign 6-12 months from now.
You mentioned the great reshuffle. I gather that's your term for what some other people are calling the great resignation. People changing jobs, switching jobs, leaving jobs because during the pandemic, they recalibrated the role of work and labor in their lives and what gave them meaning. Do I have that right? Why is it then a reshuffling? And has that been changed by the increased economic instability of the moment?
John, I love that question. I think that's exactly right. I think the great resignation term sort of generates connotation that people are leaving the labor market. That's definitely not true. When people are quitting jobs, they're quitting them and they're going to jobs that are better, whether they're better in terms of more flexibility or better pay or better benefits or all of these things. This is great from the perspective of the American worker and, economic opportunity more generally. I do think, and I think you're right in highlighting this, that a lot of what we talked about in terms of the Fed trying to dial down the temperature of the labor market is to sort of reduce this and maybe reduce a little bit of this elevated bargaining power that we've seen. And I think, even if we don't see a big increase in layoffs or unemployment, I do think that it means that in some sense, those opportunities and bargaining power that workers have had are going to be dialed back somewhat.
All right, Guy Berger, thank you for helping me work through some of this. I'll look forward to talking to you again. Thank you.
Absolutely.